Hey, welcome back. So, as I mentioned, I want to start out just talking a bit about Openshift. And I just want to start out by giving you guys a real quick recap on how to access Openshift and how to work on it. So the first thing I want to show you is when you go into Openshift.com, your Openshift account will be under Openshift Web Console. So when I click here, it'll ask me for a login and a username, and I'll just sign in. So this is how I get into the account in the web client that they have available for you. Very easy to use. Right now I only have one course here. Right now I only have the course planner here. That's all I have. So that's the only application. It's using 2 cogwheels. And why is that? Why is it using 2? Well, actually, let's go in and see if we can find out why it's using 2 instead of 1. And the reason is that I've added the web load balancer, and that's something that the full stack does for you. So this guy right here is helping you load balance your calls so that if you're being hit really hard on a server, it'll switch to another server that matches the other one, kinda. So it's making sure that you have load balancing on your setup right out of the box. That's why we're taking 2 wheels instead of 1. Okay, what else can I see from here? If I click this guy, hopefully it'll start up my application. Right now everything is running from my application, but you might experience that it takes a lot of time to start up. Don't worry, give it a minute or two and hopefully it'll start up for you. The reason is that after 24 hours on the free Openshift account, it'll actually shut down your server. And it'll do that to spare time on Red Hat setup. And of course they do that to make sure that we don't have a gazillion free accounts that eats all their server space, so they'll just shut it down. But as soon as you try to open it the first time, it'll start up again. So it'll be in idle mode. When you click it, it'll start up, and sometimes you'll get a 404, but just do a refresh a few times and the service will actually get up and running. So that's just it's for your knowledge, because I've experienced just panicking when things didn't work, but just give it a bit of time and it'll actually start up for you. Okay, that was just an extra note. So what do I see in here? Well, this is actually everything I have to know about my course planner. This is all I have to know about the Mongo database that's connected to the course planner, and we're going to try and hook up to this later. But how do I actually work with the RHC client? Let me just go back to applications here. They have something called the RHC client, and I showed you that in an earlier lesson, how to use that, how to set that up. You have to go back there if you don't already have it running on your machine. And the way to test if it's running is just writing RHC. If that pops up with a list of different commands, great. If not, go back to the lesson about how to set up RHC. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to go in and I want to try to use some of these commands. So the first command that I want to show you guys is the RHC setup, and I'm going to do a -L. That's for logging in with a specific user. Some of you might have multiple accounts. I do at least have multiple accounts, and this is how I can log in with 2 different users. Right now I'm logged in with 1 user and I want to log in with a new one with the email of larsbilder@gmail.com, and I'll do enter here, and now it'll ask me, where's this Openshift account running? Because you could have it running on a local host or your own environment even in the cloud. But I'm just using openshift.redhat.com, that's the default one, and so I'll just press enter. Now it's going to try and log in, and since it already have an existing token of mine, it's just going to log in. In your case, it might pop up and ask you for a password. You put that in and it'll create a token for you, but it might ask you to say, do you want to save this token locally? And then you'll say yes, and everything will be running. Great. Now that I have a connection to Openshift with my RHC client, then I can actually start writing things like RHC apps. That'll give me a list of all the apps that I have available on my Openshift account. And right now I only have one, and that one is called Course Planner. Right here. It'll tell me where I can get to the course planner. It'll tell me some secret stuff like what is the database name, what is the password for the database, and what is the user you will have to use to log in. So here we have my application, and what I want to do is in the next lesson I want to try and tail this application. I want to figure out what's the logging, what's being sent back and forth to this application. But this was just a basic recap of getting up and running with the Openshift application. See you next time.